Hello, Culés, and welcome to the Undefeated channel. We've got another episode of Wake Up and Barça, and this one is special because it is what will hopefully be the first of many episodes of Wake Up and BUGA. We've got BUGA Luis here on the channel to discuss Barcelona's wild October fixtures, and hate to start out on a negative foot, but we got to talk about the injuries during the international break, what kind of impact that's going to have. We're gonna cover all that and more on today's episode. If you want to be part of the conversation, make sure you're subscribed so you can participate in the chat with your fellow culés from around the world as we catch up on the Barcelona news. Like I said, take a look at the October fixtures, get some injury updates, and we'll see what else comes up conversationally. Make sure you hit the like button, and let's go ahead and kick things off the right way, my friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuning in to the Undefeated Mustache John.
All right, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce BUGA Luis to the channel. BUGA, why don't you go ahead and say hello to the Stash Squad, and let's dive into things.
I was just talking to John saying like, what a name, Stash Squad. I like that. I like it. You're a very nice community. I see that. Very passionate host here. And honestly, just with few seconds actually being here live, I go like, I want to be here again. And I want to do more stuff because it's good. It's good. It's a good feeling, good vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we try to do here, BUGA. We try to create a space of positivity, but not blind optimism, right? It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but I say this all the time. We support each other. We support the badge, good times and bad. So I'm very happy to have you on here. For those of you that don't know, BUGA and I are actually just meeting for the very first time. So you're seeing our first conversation live here. And what BUGA doesn't know, I haven't told him yet, is that BUGA is actually one of the early inspirations for this channel. So BUGA, I want to start out by saying thank you for you doing what you do. It's a big inspiration for this channel, and it trickles down to the Stash Squad. So BUGA, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing what you do, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Nice words, actually, very nice words. I don't know how to answer this, to be honest.
That's okay. That's okay.
It's I can be on your boots. Like I can stand where you're standing, because certainly have that as well from my case. And yeah, I guess that we were talking a little bit about YouTube, how hard it is or how difficult it is. So certainly we can talk more about that later in our own time or whenever you want.
Yeah, absolutely, BUGA. Appreciate you, my man. All right, let's get into Barcelona topics then. Originally, the plan was we're going to talk about October fixtures, and then international break happened, and we go, hang on, curveball, we got to pause, we got to preface, give some context. The injuries. We got Araujo, Koundé, Memphis, De Jong, and Dembele all picking up minor to more serious injuries. On that list, which injury is most concerning to you?
For me, certainly the injury that for me is the most worrying, it has to be the one to Araujo. I think that for me, people are saying Koundé is our best defender, and I respect that. But for me, Araujo is just a different player because of the extra that you have to his game, like the passion, the commitment. And those sort of players are hard to find in our squad right now, and not let's say in the world. It's very difficult to find that. So we're gonna be missing that leadership or that injection of I would like to say like balls, basically, of energy, of recovering the ball, of that passion. We're gonna be missing that, and for me, that is gonna be most important. And the people are saying that's between 6 and 7 weeks, so that's gonna be difficult. He may miss the World Cup, and that is horrible for everyone involved.
Yeah, the roller coaster that is the Araujo injury. Injured in the first minute, right, in his match with Uruguay, comes off. The first news is that he's saying, hey, it's not that big of a deal. He's telling the club, I'll be back for El Clasico, a week or two. And then I wake up today, I start scrolling through Twitter, and like you said, it's 6-7 weeks, maybe surgery. And it's panic time. I feel like we have enough depth up front that I'm not going to say it's not going to affect us, if we miss Dembele. But we've got some replacements, and Memphis as well. It kind of makes me sad that Memphis is injured because I thought this is a good opportunity for him. Ansu Fati, not 90 minutes match fit yet. He could come in and do some things. So offensively, I'm not so worried. But on the defensive side, yesterday we were putting together like what would be Barcelona's starting 11 with these injuries. I got Garcia, Christensen with Balde and Bellerin, and I'm not super confident in that back four.
Yeah, like you were saying here, one of the main things that you asked me was like, who might step up for Barcelona?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and for me, that's a worrying part. Like you were saying perfectly, our front line, it's stacked. It's stacked with different players, and I agree with you that I was gonna think like, oh, this is Memphis' opportunity to kind of see if he can prove himself in this squad and prove Xavi something that maybe he's not seen right now. But the thing is that in the defensive kind of part of our game, we don't have that. We don't have that quality. And Christensen and Eric Garcia, whilst I think they can be important players when paired next to someone like Araujo or Koundé because they have different skill sets, when you mix Christensen and Eric Garcia, I think their qualities are too similar. And precisely, we may be losing out on the defensive aspect of the game. So if there's one player that I don't know, I wanna hear this opinion because certainly the fan base is divided with Piqué, but I think if there's someone that needs to step up, or at least Xavi will hope he does, is Gerard Piqué.
Wow.
At least a little bit different to Christensen and Garcia because he has that little bit of well, of course he has that kind of circulation of the ball and distributing from the back.
Yeah.
But he also has that physicality. He also has that height. He has that kind of instinctive defending that perhaps the other two don't. So I think a partnership of Piqué plus someone will be what we'll be seeing from now onwards.
BUGA, I was not expecting that, but I love it. I actually love the idea of Piqué stepping up, redemption time for the legend. He had a rough summer, dude.
Yeah,
we weren't planning on talking about this, but a rough summer for Piqué.
Not only football terms.
Right. Yeah. For people that don't know, give a little context. What was Piqué's summer like outside of football?
I don't know, but how in the world can a man be thinking about rejecting Shakira and going for somebody else? Like, dude, that makes no sense. And I'm Latino, like Colombian women, you don't do that.
No. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Barcelona fans, casual football fans, people who have never even watched a full match were like, he did what to Shakira? Everybody.
Exactly. Like I have friends and they don't even watch football, and like some of them are female and they also don't know anything about the sport.
Right.
But they know two things. They know one, who's Gavi, and they know two, who's Gerard Piqué. That's it. And they only knew Piqué because of the Shakira situation. That's
yeah. Oh man, poor Piqué. But back to your point, I really do love that idea. I think that's something that I overlooked is Piqué's opportunity to step up here. And what you said earlier, I think is dead on, is that you have to have Araujo or Koundé in there rotating with a Christensen or a Garcia for that defense to feel balanced, right? We have enough depth to rotate those players, but when you scrape off our two starting center backs or Koundé at right back at this point, that's a tough spot to fill. But I'm feeling a little bit optimistic now that you mentioned Piqué. I'm feeling okay about that, actually.
Yeah, and before we move to a different point, I started saying this may be controversial, and the reason is because I don't know on which part of the spectrum you are. I guess we're going to be talking more about it later on, but I kind of, although I would like Piqué to step up and be good for the team, because of course it will be beneficial for the team.
Yeah.
I also do think that sometimes you just have to endure short-term pain to kind of get fruitful long-term rewards. And if we continue with Christensen and Eric Garcia, I think personally that could potentially be better in the long term than rather giving someone like Piqué this game time, because you're giving those other youngsters the consistency that they need. And that for me is kind of, it's crucial. Sometimes you need to do that, right? You need to endure that short-term pain and let go of you could say the past.
Yeah. Amen to that. I think Barcelona suffered the consequences of not doing that during the Xavi Iniesta era. They weren't willing to let some of these young players come up, get in the rotation, and get that experience that they needed. So we lost a whole crop of a whole generation of midfielders coming up that were just like, well, I'm not going to get any playing time, so I'll go this way, I'll go that way, you know? So I think that's a fair point. I think because we right now only have PK, Christensen, and Garcia, right? So for the next few weeks, I think there's enough matches that all three of them are going to get some time. I could see it being PK and one of them for like 2/3 of those games, and then maybe the smaller percentage, like a third of them, is Garcia and Christensen.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, I could see that happening. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit better. I was panicking. I did a short stream yesterday to talk about the injuries, and before coming on camera, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be optimistic about this. I'm gonna try to turn things around, be positive. And I just I couldn't. I was like, no, I'm bummed. Just from the matches we have coming up, but also just from the viewers' perspective. Like I love watching Barcelona, and when we aren't fully fit, when we don't have all of our stars out there, it's like it's a little bit of a letdown just as a casual viewer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And before turning the page on the injuries, I also think that we have to mention or give the people a little bit of insight on the front line. I do think, although it might seem stacked, like you mentioned earlier, I think it would be important at this day and age that Memphis Depay is injured. Well, not important, but it could give the consistency that was mentioned before to Eric Garcia to people like Ferran Torres and Ansu Fati. I recently did a video on my channel where I talked about I'm a little bit worried about Ansu Fati. Why? Because he is kind of feeling the pressure. He's feeling the pressure of having to return back to fitness. He hasn't been called up to the Spanish national team. And it's kind of that same pressure that has made his game perhaps a little bit more stale or just focus on getting shots on goal. We analyzed that in depth, and you can see that he's trying to shoot a lot more. He's not dribbling as much. He's not opening. He's not going kind of one-on-one through the wings as much as he did before. That explosivity is missing. So perhaps this injury to Memphis will give Xavi a little bit of that faith that, you know what, let's give a few more minutes to Ansu Fati. Or at least give Ferran Torres those minutes and see if he can turn the situation around. Because those two players are wearing where they stand right now. Because they could be easily one of the best wingers in the world. But they are kind of stuck. They're in stalemate, basically.
Yeah, Ferran Torres really hasn't found his spot in that front three yet. I remember early on someone asked him in an interview what his preferred position is, and he said right wing. But we've got Dembele, we've got Rafinha, who also prefer the right wing. Even when the two of them are on, I've said this before, when it's Dembele and Rafinha, the one who's on the right side is really the one who ends up producing. And then at some point in the match, they'll swap. And again, it's whoever's on that right side. So it's an interesting strategy, but I would love it if we could find that balance and find who's going to be that left winger. I'm thinking it's Ansu once he gets up to fully fit, fully comfortable, like you said, because I think everybody's recognizing that there's something mentally that I think is holding him back. It takes a little bit of time to get comfortable with testing your body and not having another long-term injury.
Yeah, I think like you said it, like if I go position by position, let's say, I think right wingers, Dembele and Rafinha. And I also said that literally while we're doing this, a video I scheduled on my channel talking exactly that thing that you mentioned. I call it like could Rafinha be Barcelona's biggest weakness? Because we could get into a debate later on. Because I do think that he, at the end of the day, is very similar to Dembele. And particularly because they both will excel, like you say, for the right wing. Yep. But anyhow, when you talk about, like you say, Ansu and Ferran Torres, I think it's Ansu, Memphis on the left, in my opinion, and Ferran Torres and Lewandowski for the middle.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I think Xavi sees Ferran on the left, and I think he sees Memphis on the middle.
I agree with that. Here's my theory, and I would love to get your thoughts on this. Here's my theory. That we are only going to have this congestion for this season. If you look at Dembele and that saga, he signed a 2-year contract, and there's a 50 million euro buyout, which is not a lot for today's market.
Yeah.
I believe that Rafinha was brought in and Dembele stayed and signed only a 2-year contract because this year is a tryout year for Dembele and Rafinha. I don't know that both of them will be here come next season.
Mm.
If both are still here, I don't think Ferran Torres is here. But I think more than likely what happens is this is a make or break year for Dembele. It's, can you stay healthy? Can you perform? Okay, cool. Then in summer 2023, when you're coming into the last year of your 2-year contract, we expect you to sign an extension. And if you don't, we're not doing this nonsense that we did this past January. We're going to sell you for that 50 million. And because we got Rafinha, we got Ferran Torres. So
I like that.
we got to get
like
through
that.
this year and see how Dembele performs and what happens with that contract. Because I really don't think Barcelona go into the final year of his contract without a solution in mind.
Yeah, I think an extra caveat to that is that maybe like he signed the short-term contract because of course, like you say, the tryout, which is very plausible. But the thing is that also I would say Lewandowski, he has like even though Lewandowski has like he could play 3 more years, we take a look at a player that is what 34. So at the end of the day, you do need to have a striker, someone that can replace him. And I think at the end of the day, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think that transition from Ansu Fati from the left or Ferran Torres from the wing will happen, and one of them will play through the middle.
I agree with that.
So at the end of the day, if let's say Dembele is too good and you need to renew him, you sell Memphis and you keep yourself with Ansu, Ferran, Dembele, Rafinha, and Lewandowski, and those 5, you have at least a left winger, a striker. You have someone who can play in those 2 areas of the field.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And then who knows? We have a Abde coming back. You know, we'll talk about this maybe at the end if there's time, but maybe there's a Lionel Messi coming back, that kind of thing. You know, so we got options.
We certainly have to talk about that because I need your opinion on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well,
Let's
actually,
move
you know
on.
what? I think it'll flow more conversationally if we just jump into it now. Since we're talking about a little bit of the future and forward options, let's just get the opinions out there now because it's also a hot topic for Barcelona fans, of course. So what is your take on what's happening with Lionel Messi right now? Do you want him to come back to the club? And would you expect him to come back to the club? Multiple questions at you, BUGA.
This is, I don't know how to explain this, but I love Messi. Like I would die for Messi. I will tell you a story.
Yes,
quickly.
Please do.
Once when I was a kid, I went to Barcelona. I was like 11 years old. We were outside a game between Atletico Bilbao and Barcelona in La Liga. It was not that crazy Messi goal. And we were like watching the bus coming down. And I had a picture where I was standing like this, and Messi was talking behind me. So my mom took a picture. And then when we were in the hotel, like about to leave, I was like, "Mom, do you get the picture?" And we actually lost the camera, like not the actual picture, like the proper device. And we were like, and I was like, God. And I was like, how am I gonna prove this to my friends that me and Messi breathe the same oxygen? Like, how I'm gonna explain this? And another fun fact, as close as I was to Messi, in my school, when my school has a very big pitch. So when teams in South America, they go to different countries. So when Argentina plays Peru, sometimes they go to my school to train. And one time I was in the school when Messi was there. And it's like every single kid was watching through the school window, and Messi was just running laps where I was playing, where I would play in recess time. Like when I was playing in recess time, he would score goals in the net that I would be there, right? Wow. In the goals that I would score at. And I was like, oh fuck, and I don't know.
That is amazing. That's amazing, dude.
Yeah. So I love this guy, right?
Sure.
I love Messi. But I just needed to put that out there. Why do I say this? Because when you ask me, do I want Messi to come back? My answer is no.
Okay, I felt that coming.
And why do I say that? Why do I say that? Because I think, like, I believe in progression.
Yeah.
And I believe, and we were talking about this, I think, earlier. I believe in letting go of the past and moving forward. And I think that bit of Messi, he at the end of the day does represent what Barcelona was before, like it or not.
Yeah.
And even though he can give you so much when it comes to playing on the field, and he's the best player still right now, he's still proving that he's up there in that conversation. Like the worst Messi is still the best of the best.
Yeah.
I kind of feel Barcelona would be better shaped without him for the future. Like I would want him to come back, maybe be an ambassador, maybe we give him the farewell that he deserves. But at the end of the day, I do feel that when it comes to the game, like it would be, let's say Barcelona lose a game in the Champions League. It's going to be so easy to turn the narratives into, oh, Messi is back at Barcelona. He sucks. He's doing this. He's doing that. And it's very simple for the media outlets, like it or not. They guide the way that the general public perceives football.
Yep.
And like it or not, the general public is worth more than us fans, because we are just Barça fans. But general public, when it comes to Barça, it involves every Liverpool fan, every Manchester City fan, every person that doesn't watch football. And that is in numbers way bigger than what we can do, right? So the narrative is always going to go towards that. And I think it's just, that is the reason why I wouldn't want Messi to come. And like you said, also, do you expect Messi to come? I don't know, because as I say this, I think there are many people out there who also believe in this. And I think Messi gives me that vibe that perhaps he's a sort of person that, you know what, that was my story there. And you also have to see whether he accepts that or not.
Yeah. Yeah. All good points. All good points. I also love Lionel Messi. I've never gotten that close. I've been to the Camp Nou. The tattoo that I have was done by a man named Sebas, who's Argentinian, who tattooed Eber Banega, who of course shares the national team with Lionel Messi. So that's as close as I get in 6 degrees of separation.
You should have asked him to ask Eber Banega, where does Messi get his tattoos?
Yeah, or like text him right now. Get Messi's number for me. So what I'm thinking is, I agree with all of the practical points that we need to move forward. It would be kind of turning back to the past. Who knows if he'd even be willing to take the kind of wage cut that he was initially talking about? Because we still, with today's finances, even though we're, I think, in the green, we're feeling good, can't afford what Lionel Messi was making. We can't just bring him on top of what we have right now. So there's some practical challenges, we'll say, to bringing him back in. I think there's two thoughts come to mind. One is that if Barcelona is successful and everything goes well, I don't know that there's enough room for Lionel Messi, because to the point that you made earlier, we can't bring in Lionel Messi if it means sacrificing experience for Dembele, Ferran Torres, Rafinha, whoever else might be on that right wing. Or if Messi plays a false nine and takes up development time for Ansu or Ferran Torres in that kind of position. So there's that. I think the only way he comes back is if Dembele ends up getting injured, not performing, whatever leads to a 50 million euro buyout. That could happen, plus a Rafinha flop. And I'm talking hard flop, no more goals, no more assists for the rest of the season, and we cut ties with him. If both of those two things happen, and I don't think they will, then maybe we look at Messi. But I don't think those two things happen. And I think the only reason that I have for bringing him back would be to repair the damage that was done in the way that he left. And I don't know if that's enough to say, yes, I want him to come back. It's really just the emotional side of me that doesn't like how Lionel Messi left, how Luis Suarez left. You know, we did not do a good job of ending the Barcelona era for those players. And so part of me wants to repair that if we have the opportunity with Messi.
Yeah, I guess repair is a powerful word, but I guess sometimes it's just like, think about, how old are you?
34.
Okay, 34. Imagine when you are, I don't know, 60 or 70, and you have a grandkids or your even your same children. I guess the story of saying like, you know what, Messi left like this, Suarez left like this, I feel it makes more sense than, or at least fits more more nicely, because that, you know what, that way that they departed, I think also every taint in the Barcelona history, every single Liverpool defeat, every single Roma defeat, every single PSG defeat, that I think in the end of the day kind of motivates not the club, the players, everything a little bit more to push us to bigger things.
Yeah.
And I think that if you get that back, or kind of accept that defeat, you are kind of what's the word? You're kind of just accepting it, and you're not kind of fighting against that idea that perhaps those things should never happen again.
So it's more, man, BUGA, you're a lot deeper than I expected. I love this, dude. It really is. Okay, so it's kind of it's accepting the reality and not being so focused on living in the past and trying to undo or fix that sort of thing. It's more about accepting and moving forward. That's what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah. Like I think at the end of the day, like for instance, I don't know if you listened or read the latest Dembele interview where he said like, you know what, I wasted 5 years of my life, and you know what, if Dembele comes here to Barcelona and he goes with the mentality of, I want to be better to repair or give back those 5 years that I wasted, I think that's the wrong way to approach it. Yeah. Very similar to this in a grander context. I think if he comes with the attitude of saying like, I'm just going to do the best that I can to provide, and people realize, or for me, that I can be as good as they made me out to be those 5 years, that's a better attitude. That's a better way to approach it, because you're not kind of just like doing it for external means, if you know what I mean. And I think for Barcelona, we deserve that a little bit. We deserve, like, for pride and the ego that we have, we deserve to be a little bit more like, you know what, we effed up, and now we can be better without it. And at the end of the day, it's like the one who laughs at the end laughs the best, or laughs the hardest, something like that. I don't know it in English, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, that's it. You got it. Yeah. No, that's great. And you know what? That is in alignment with something I preach here, which is having the undefeated attitude. What I mean by that is, it doesn't mean that you never lose. It doesn't mean that you don't take some hard L's sometimes, but you take that as a lesson, as an opportunity to adapt, to grow, and you keep moving forward. So look at this, BUGA. You're putting the undefeated spirit into it already. All right. I think that's a good way to we can put a bow on that and kind of transition
but
here.
Quickly, what do you want?
What do I want?
Yeah.
Boy, you really gave me some things to think about. If I gave my answer before hearing some of your thoughts, I would have said, let's bring him back. Let's work him in for a season, and because here's the thing: in Dreamland, Messi wins the World Cup with Argentina, comes back to Barcelona, wins Champions League, and then retires or goes and plays in Argentina or whatever, and he rides off into the sunset, right? Yeah. If I was writing the Disney version of this story, right? But that's not reality. You know, what I think is going to happen is that he's going to stay at PSG, because right now he's talking about settling in and starting to enjoy himself again. He's got Neymar still for, another year or two, but he's got Mbappe, and he's got a club that'll definitely invest around him as long as he's there. So I'm not so sure that he's ready and willing to jump ship as much as I would like to see it happen. So
look, I think if let's say PSG wins the Champions League this year,
okay,
and he wins the World Cup, I think he's done with European football.
I would agree with that. What else is there to fight for, to play for? He's won every trophy imaginable, and if he gets, because those are the two things that people talk about. And if, for the Messi haters out there, the Messi doubters even, they say he hasn't won a World Cup, and they say he can't win Champions League without the Barcelona system and those special players around him. So if he wins Champions League with PSG and he wins the World Cup, says later haters, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Anything else in that world that we want to get to before we jump over to the October calendar?
I don't think so. I think we talked about everything there.
Okay, good. That was a good tangent, man. I appreciate that. Listen, we'll have some planned agenda items, of course, but I'm always in favor of wherever the conversation goes naturally. So I'm happy to explore those ideas with you.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Okay. October fixtures. We got a lot going on. We've got 2 matches with Inter Milan, the return leg against Bayern, plus a lot of La Liga action. So, of the 2, right? If you had to prioritize one, are we going for Champions League fixtures? Or are we going La Liga fixtures? Because there's too many matches for us to have our go-to starting 11 for all of these, right? So we're going to have to kind of balance it. Of the 2, which should Barcelona prioritize more? Champions League, La Liga?
Look, you here in the kind of agenda, inverted commas, that we had, you kind of mentioned how do I feel whether it is a make or break month and how the injuries will affect. And I think those questions answer themselves. Like, I think the injuries right now make Barcelona such a weaker squad.
Yeah.
Like, it really does, particularly for this month, because like you said at the start, defensively, Barcelona are so weak, and particularly for this big game. So when it comes to how will this affect and what we prioritize, I think we prioritize La Liga, because La Liga, that's not me saying that we will go out in the Champions League. I think we can win the Champions. Not the Champions, but the group.
Mm-hmm.
And La Liga, I think we should prioritize it, because for the project, for the trajectory that we want, we cannot need to win La Liga, or at least it's something that is more is more in our control. The Champions League is variables, like so many variables. I was in a show another time, and they were talking about which is hardest, and I always go with, I think that winning a league competition is harder, because you need to be consistently focused. You need to win every single time. The rivals, of course, are not going to be the same. But the thing about the Champions League is that I wouldn't call it, of course, it's hard. Like, so many people want to win the Champions League. But the thing is that it's more, you don't control those many assets.
There has to be some good fortune involved as well, you know?
Yeah, it's more lucky, or more like, I don't want to say I believe in destiny, but sort of like destiny. Like, it has to be like, you need to have that good fortune, or you need to be able to have a good game that approaches to that. Like, for instance, that's why Real Madrid are so good in that competition, because is the way that they play, they create their own fortune. Like, if you want to be lucky, I feel that you can do more stuff to be lucky. If you're doing the right things, you can certainly be more lucky. That's the thing, because if they say to Benzema, always pressure the goalkeeper, he's always gonna get that chance to win the ball back. And it happened to the best keepers in the world. And when you think at that in general, that's not like, my dad once told me, because I was raging at Real Madrid and going, oh, it always happens. The keeper always F's up. And it's like, no, it has to be some sort of merit, because if it happens for like 5 years straight, there's some sort of consistency in that. And I think right now Barcelona doesn't have that luxury to put those basically, let's say, eggs in the basket of the Champions League, because we need to refine other aspects of our game first. And La Liga is the place to do it.
I hear in that really good points. I think tournament play, World Cup, Champions League, you said it. You get these team of destinies, right? There's a saying that comes to mind. I think what it is that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So it's similar to what you said. You got to keep showing up. You got to keep crashing the net, knowing that I'm going to do this 99 times before one time the keeper bobbles it and I can knock it in. You know, so it absolutely is. And I think that sometimes separates elite teams from championship teams is can you maintain that focus? Because you got to have all the stars align. You got to have your players fit. You got to have them in form, and you got to keep the mental edge through all of that. So I'm with you on that. I think Barcelona prioritize La Liga, but let's stay with Champions League for a little bit. Let's talk about these upcoming Inter Milan matches first. What do Barcelona need out of these two matches? We are away, and then we get the return leg shortly thereafter, and then Bayern Munich. But let's focus on Inter Milan first. What do you think? Do we need 2 wins? Can we draw? What do we need out of these matches?
Well, first of all, we need to win because one of my best friends is an Inter Milan fan, and if they win, he's gonna be in my ear for the rest. Like, he's the sort of person, look, like I don't wanna show up, but between my group of friends, I'm probably one of the best at least FIFA. And he has only played the FIFA once against me. Why? Because he won with a penalty in the 99th minute, some crazy BS like that, and he won't never play me again.
No,
he wants to have that thing of like, oh, I beat BUGA, and I just like, okay, and imagine now he Inter beats us, like, oh my god. But okay, I think people are overlooking the away game at the Giuseppe Meazza. I think so many people are overlooking that game. It's Inter may be in crisis or whatnot, but that is the perfect situation where a team like Inter or a team in general will look at it and, you know what, this is the game where we need to show up. This is the game that if we want to revert our situation, we need to do this. And Inter against Barcelona is going to be, for them, it's the perfect occasion. And Barcelona don't have the fixture well in their side because we are, of course, went away to the Allianz Arena, now away at it in Milan. So this game is going to be really hard. Like, really, really hard. And I think people are saying, oh, no, we're going to get a win. It's Inter.
Oh,
no.
I don't feel that way at all. I feel like we're going to go
neither.
up against a tough Italian side at home in Champions League football with a patchwork Barcelona starting 11, you know, so I'm nervous for that one. I would be okay with a draw at Inter. I think that's okay. And then we can get our win at the Camp Nou. For me, I think that's realistic, and I think that still gets us through.
I see that, but the thing is that I do feel Bayern or Inter will choke in one of their games as well.
You think so?
I think they will. I think Bayern has it in them to choke in one the game, and Inter as well. And also, you know why? Because I like the saying that you need to be, or I believe in the sense that you need to do everything possible the best that you can, and it doesn't matter if you win or you lose. You know, you're undefeated, Moto. The very same thing. like if Inter, if we wanna rest assured, if everything is on, like if we don't want to depend on others, that's the best way I can say. If we don't want to depend on others, Barcelona, I think, do need to win in that game.
Yeah.
And that for me is gonna be more importantly than and I have it here, more importantly than a game for the points. I think it's more important a game for the mentality of the squad. And since this is a situation where we are with injuries and all that, they're gonna be like, you know what? If we beat Inter, we can actually do this. Like we are a proper team, we're a squad, and that I think that's important.
I'm kind of thinking the same thing. If I hate to put so much stake like on any one match, but I mean it really is like looking at La Liga, away to Mallorca is kind of, I've been calling it like a little appetizer for the month of October, but Inter really kicks us off. You know that I've got this little seed of doubt in me where I just like imagine us getting overwhelmed, but this isn't the same Barcelona that we've had the last couple of seasons. You know what I mean? Xavi's had now a full year plus to work with it. Wait, is it a year plus? No, we're coming up on a year, right? He started in October, right? So coming up on a full year. He had at least the summer training camp to work with this team. And I think we are seeing a different attitude, a different mindset where we're going to be optimistic about it. Maybe we don't get overwhelmed by that situation. Maybe we come in, maybe Lewandowski gets a couple of goals right off the bat and we're able to control the match in that way. The one thing that concerns me, because I think we can get the results we need against Inter. The thing that concerns me is something that you said, which is that Bayern could slip up. And if it's against Inter and Inter gets some unexpected points versus Bayern, that's not good for us. That could put us, Bayern and Inter, all a little bit too close going into those last couple of matches.
I was actually thinking they could slip up against Victoria Pilsen.
You think so? I would love it if that happened.
No,
That would
no,
be
JK, of
amazing.
course
But
not.
I say I don't know. I'm a little skeptical about that one.
Yeah, but who knows? It's football at the end of the day. I think that's the beautiful thing that makes this sport so unique.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you on that one. Okay. So looking at the future a little bit, is the Bayern at home match a must win?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, because like we mentioned before, like I also don't think that game is a guarantee.
Yeah.
Like like Bayern can easily come to the Camp Nou and win.
Sure.
So there's no point in us looking at the game like, oh, 3 points. Not just because it's at home and because we played a good game against them in the Allianz Arena. They could easily come and beat us here. So that is why this Inter game gains that much more importance. So is that a must win? Certainly, of course. I think every game is a must win.
Yeah.
But I think more importantly than Bayern game, and this is so like cringe and so manager talking, but we have to go game by game. Like especially in the Champions League, like we cannot already thinking about that game when we have this Inter match first that we need to win or we need those points at least. And like we were saying and discussing, the beating Inter is that much more important because we don't know what may happen with Bayern later.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point. That is absolutely a fair point. Match by match. But if I'm going to break that rule and group them all together, I think ideally we get what we need to get out of Inter so that we're not relying on 3 points against Bayern just to take the pressure off. You know what I mean? Like I would love it if there was a little bit of separation between us and whoever's in third at the time. I'm assuming Inter, so that a draw isn't a disaster and we can just close things out against Plzen in the end of the group stage. That's what I would like to see. Take care of Inter, do what we need to do against Bayern. Because I want to say, you know, oh, look at the first half against Bayern. We were dominating possession. We were getting opportunities in front of goal. If we do that at the Camp Nou, yada, yada, yada. But it's going to be a different 90 minutes, a completely different 90 minutes. So we can't guarantee that, you know?
Yeah, certainly.
Okay, so predictions then. Do Barcelona get out of the group? And if so, where? What spot? We 1 or 2?
I said at the start of when I did my predictions, I said 1.
Yeah.
So I think I need to stick by that. Why? Like of course, it's really simple to say second. Like of course then if we go for it's gonna be second. But first, if we can go first, let's say 3 points against Inter away, 3 points against Inter here. So I think we can get 9 points. Let's say 9 points in a good world. That Bayern game, for instance, could be the game that decides or gets us closer or equal to that first spot. Mm-hmm. So I think it's possible. But the injuries are so difficult to withstand. So I'm gonna say first. You know what? F it. I'm gonna say first.
Good for you, BUGA. Good for you. Sticking with it, buddy. I want to be with you. And pre-injuries, I would have said first. It's tough to say first, but I don't know. I'll say that if we get 6 points from Inter, I think we go through first. But if we stumble and we get a draw in either of those matches, then I think it's second for us.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. Okay. Any other thoughts on Barcelona's chances in the group stage before I got one more Champions League question for you?
Let me see. Not really, but I think what we need to mention is how the Champions League affects then our La Liga. Our La Liga. I don't know if you were expecting to talk about that later or not, but I think we need to mention that because even though we have many home games, there's one that for me is kind of like.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Which one do you think I'm suggesting?
Which one sticks out as like which Champions League game sticks out as interfering with La Liga, or the other way around?
The other way around. Which game do I think is interfering, or which game in La Liga we must be careful? Because I think we can win all of them realistically, but one is for me like uh, this one can sting a little.
Is it Celta Vigo?
No, no.
Athletic
Even though
Club?
there's a Peruvian in that team, no.
Athletic Club?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bilbao for me. I think
Yeah.
even of course the Clasico is separate,
Sure.
but Bilbao for me is the one that Ernesto Valverde is making that team play so good. Damn, like they play good football, and I think I always will say this. I think that Ernesto Valverde, if he was victim of Barcelona's situation that at time we couldn't see.
Yeah.
And
Tell me more.
I always,
Tell me more.
yeah, I always say that, and I also feel when people say to me, "Why do you hate Valverde as much?" and I'll tell you why. I think it's a place that, for instance, when the Roma game happened, I was on a plane, so I actually booked my flight on that time frame because I was like, you know what, there's no way that Barcelona are gonna lose this game. Like and let me tell you another thing. I didn't watch any of those two games. I didn't watch the Roma game, the first leg, because I saw my very first game in football live in Europe, and that was Liverpool beating Man City 3-0 at Anfield.
Nice. Nice.
And I was sitting next to a guy, and I didn't have internet because when you're in another country, you need like the SIM card and whatnot, and I wasn't gonna pay for that.
Yeah, I hear you.
And the kid and the guy next to me, he was from like Azerbaijan or I don't know where, and he was telling me the results, and it was like 1-0 Barça, 2-0 Barça, 4-0 Barça, and I was like, okay, easy, Roma.
Yeah.
That same day, I booked the flight for on my way home on the return leg. And I remember when I get out of the plane, I open my phone and I see Barcelona losing against Roma, and I was like, nah, no way. I was like, no way. And I think the reason that, because I saw that result on a phone and I didn't saw that result live, my kind of way of approaching Ernesto Valverde and Barcelona as a whole was not triggered as much, because that's a good point, I think, because when you see the game live, you have that anxiety, you have that frustration, and I didn't see that. So I didn't see Costas Manolas score, I didn't see all of Checo score. I was just like,
I have the image. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I have the image of Costas Manolas scoring and celebrating burned into my mind. Because I was the same way. I watched the first leg, and so second leg, it for my time zone, they happen like during the workday. And at the time, I was 9 to 5 in an office, so I was like, okay, I'm not gonna miss work for this. We got it in the bag, no problem, no reason to take a half day off of work. So I'm sitting in my cubicle watching this game like quietly because I'm supposed to be working, and all of a sudden I was like, I don't even care anymore. Like, guys, I'm watching this game. I'm not working. I'm freaking out because now we're down to, what was it, 2-0 and then 3-0, and then just Costas Manolas going over and celebrating, and I vowed, I was like, okay, never again. I'm never going to miss a Barcelona game because I assume that it's in the bag. And then 1 year later, we go 4-up against Liverpool. or 3. What was the first leg? 3. Should have been 4, but Dembele missed at the end. Yeah. And I go, hey, there's no way we're going to do this back-to-back years. I'll go into work again, no problem. And then the exact same thing happened. So never again, BUGA. Never again.
Yeah, never again. I swear to God, never again. And for me, the Liverpool one was interesting because like it was my first year. And you know how in university you have like student dorms and things like that? So for those who you don't know, student dorms are like where students go to sleep together, right? Or that sounded weird.
They're like mini apartments for students. Yeah.
Thanks for the context, John. But like and I was there, right? And it was my first year, and I was like and plus it was me, another guy called Harvey, one of my best friends now.
One of your best friends named Harvey?
Harvey, yeah.
One of my best friends is named Harvey. That's awesome. Keep going.
Destiny, right?
Yeah.
And it was like each one of us has their own room and their own bathroom, whatever. But there were also 4 girls. And the girls, they don't watch that much football, Like, I know there are girls that watch football, but those four, they didn't watch football at all.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there was one from Norway that she shared classrooms with Martin Odegaard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And anyhow, but the thing is that we were there. Some of my people know my friend Harvey because he once appeared in the channel. And I was watching the Liverpool game, and I was like, no way, right? No way we can lose this. And then 1 goal, 2 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals, and I was screaming, and I get intense, right? I'm screaming, I'm shouting, I'm like banging at my bedroom, banging at my desk, and I'm like, what? And nobody like understood what was going on. And one of the girls called like security because they thought, and in the UK they always have this thing that they're very cautious about, like suicide, about mental health and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So she called about that, right? And then when I came out my window and I was just like, like screaming, I saw like people from like medical care there thinking that I was gonna commit suicide. And I'm like, bro, no, I'm just watching football. Okay, relax. And that will always be there in my I will always remember that. But it was like they just could not believe how much football could change someone. And I was like, he said, you don't even know. Like, is this the second year in a row? Yeah. And I remember at the end of the game, I was crying, and I was like, and I just couldn't believe it. I was like, fuck. And then I was like, and then you know what? What's worse? I was like, I cannot believe what happened. And I was like, okay, at least Ajax are gonna win the Champions League. And then 2 minutes later, they bottle it against Tottenham, and I'm like,
Wild. Yeah.
Okay. What was the question?
I believe we were talking about La Liga, and you brought up that people are kind of overlooking, right? And Ernesto Valverde. Because here's the thing. So you said some good things. People, I think, here's what I'll say. I think he is an incredible manager who does not fit the Barcelona style of play. He mostly, from my memories, put us in like a 4-4-2, and we were winning games a la Jose Mourinho, like 1-0, 2-1. It wasn't the most exciting brand of football, but we went almost undefeated in La Liga.
Yeah.
So
I think the thing with Ernesto Valverde there is that he had more balls than anyone ever came after him or before him. Why do I say this? And I'm gonna put a hot take here. I think he also had more balls. No, not more balls. I think, okay, forget the hot take. I was gonna say something stupid. but I think he had a lot of balls. Why do I say this? Because he was a vision. I don't know why I talk about Ernesto Valverde so much, and people are maybe already gonna hate me for this. Yeah. But he was a visionary. Like, he already saw where Barcelona were gonna go down. The path that they were gonna go down.
Yeah.
And I think the 4-4-2, first of all, he changed the system, which no one ever did before him. And he understood that, you know what, Messi and Suarez, they cannot run anymore.
Yeah.
And it was more a kind of reactionary, or it was a solution to the faults of Barcelona at the time. But at the time also, as fans or as a club, we could not see the issues that we were under. We were kind of blinded by that fact. So I think he did, in fact, understood what Barcelona were going to go down. So I don't put that much blame into him, because I think that if, let's say, Ernesto Valverde came now, I think he would do an equal job, or he could also do a lot of things great. And very similar to what I mentioned, I do a similarity to what Mourinho happened at United.
Yeah.
The situation with United was really bad, but if he came in, he could have done better.
Yeah.
And I do think, or do like Ernesto Valverde, and I do feel that he would have better pieces in place. And honestly, imagine, I think I go out on top of my head, who could Barcelona replace Xavi when he leaves? I'm like, there are not that many other managers that I could say. And the other day, Xavi talked so much with Ernesto Valverde. He knows that he respects him a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel sorry for Ernesto Valverde.
Yeah, victim of circumstance, I think you could say. I mean, if you look at that squad that he had, what was it, 18-19? That was the year where we made that almost undefeated run. We did not have a deep squad by any means. We had our starting 11 and like one other sub that we could use. This
He
was
made
when
Lenglet look world class.
what's that?
He made Lenglet look
Yeah,
world
right,
class.
right, exactly. So yeah,
Lenglet
he
and
did.
Titi were
He did.
world class.
That was the only year that Langley actually performed well. So yeah, I think again, you brought up some good points. We were not aware as supporters of what was going on behind the scenes. You know, I think recognized that we did not have as strong of a club as we were used to, and it was again just kind of tapping back into the memories. It was the Lionel Messi show offensively. It was give Leo the ball and watch what he does with it, you know? So, you know, we'll see. You brought up some interesting points. I never really thought about Valverde making a return with a bolstered Barcelona squad, but it could be interesting. I guess, however you feel about it, I'm with you on being nervous about that match. I mean, that's coming up.
Everything we talked about, there's substance to that game.
Yeah, that's coming up October 23rd is that game. So we're going to be 3 weeks into a pretty grueling schedule, and then we got to play Bilbao.
Yeah. And 2 days before Bayern.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Oh, man. That is going to be tough. But, okay, little ray of positivity. That's far enough along that maybe we'll get some of these players back. Probably not Araujo, but maybe Koundé, and hopefully De Jong and Dembele will work off their discomforts or whatever it was. So maybe we'll have some players coming back, fit, healthy, feeling refreshed for those matches.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's talk El Clasico then. How big is this El Clasico? All El Clasicos are big, right? They're all meaningful, of course, but how big is this one? How much weight do we need to put on this upcoming October El Clasico?
This one, it's very similar to what we mentioned about Bayern because it's the points are important. Do not get me wrong. I think Barcelona and Real Madrid could come to this game being just how far are they away right now?
We're 2 points back.
Yeah, we're 2 points, two points behind Real Madrid. So we could be 2 points behind them for this game. The 16th of October. Oh, okay. Damn, I just realized I may have difficulty watching the game.
Oh no. Oh no.
Because it's my mom's birthday and she doesn't let football that day.
Oh, we love moms. We love moms.
She doesn't let football be spoken that day.
Wow. Okay, well, good for her. Maybe,
okay.
Maybe just have it like on your cell phone in a different room and Bluetooth and earbud in, you know?
Yeah. Or take the longest shit ever.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You got it.
So that game, I'm a little bit worried because the points are important.
Sure.
But also we must mention that I think the mentality point of view is always going to be crucial for games like Real Madrid. And if we want to beat Bilbao later, beat Bayern Munich, I think that is going to be very, very important because I don't know how you feel about this, but it's easy for us Barcelona fans to see this. But always Barcelona, they are kind of Real Madrid are better than every team in Europe, but the only team that can beat Real Madrid is Barcelona. Like that's how it works for me.
4-0, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. And, and I feel that this game, I don't think it's going to be a 4-0 defeat or anything, but yeah, it's going to be difficult. The points are important. The squad is depleted, but I don't know really what else to tell you with this. I'm really looking forward to this game. And I think it's not make or break, but it can set the things for the next few, let's say, months of the season. Like you can really say where Barcelona are, where Real Madrid are. And I just think it's going to be important because Real Madrid are still a very good team. Like we cannot say that no matter what injury they have, they always pull through. Like I thought without Benzema, they were going to struggle, but no, they are as fine as ever. So it's going to be a top game.
Yeah, they always pull the rabbit out of the hat. It seems like it's as much as I resist giving them their credit, you have to pay respect to what they're able to do consistently. You know, they are a historic club. You got to give them that respect. For me, I think this is a huge test for Barcelona. Almost every match this month is. I'm kind of glad we're doing this earlier in the season because even if we stumble a bit, even if we don't get all the points that we want out of these La Liga matches, we have time to recover. We have time to make up that ground. We saw last season, second half of the season, anything can happen, So I'm not going to say by any means that even if we lose this upcoming El Clasico, I'm not willing to say that there goes La Liga by any means. Mm-hmm. By the end of this month, if things go horribly wrong, could we have lost La Liga? Yes. But I don't think we'll do it in any one match. You know what I mean? If we stumble in a match or two here, it's not a situation where all is lost by any means.
Yeah. I think that Real Madrid, they're I don't know how their October fixture is. So they will certainly be more, they will 100% be more focused in this game or at least looking at it. But talking, like you always say, a ray of positivity, Barcelona, the fact that they have these such grueling games might make them more prepared for this one. And I think that could be the benefit that we can see.
Yeah. I think the only, concern I would have about Madrid having a little added motivation is that they know, even though that they were La Liga champions, Barcelona fans, as I just did, keep chirping about that 4-0 victory. And I think they would love to wipe that out of memories, because when it comes to El Clasicos, you're only as good as your last match, right? Because that's bragging rights. So I think it's going to be an intense match. Either way, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be intense. Maybe we'll get some special memories out of it, which brings up my next question. What's a favorite memory that you might have of El Clasicos?
There's always one that comes to mind. That is El Clásico, the one where Messi holds up the shirt.
Oh yeah,
the 3-2.
Oh yeah.
And at that moment, I think that when we saw that, we were like, "That's good." But that moment gets more traction or more positivity as the years go by. And I think you just see that and go like, "Oh, Messi celebrating, what a goal! Yeah, we won." But later you go like, "Whoa, that was historic." And it was also very important for me because like me and my dad never watched this game. We never watched really that many games together, even though we talk about football. But that game we watched it because it was very early in the morning. It was like 6 a.m. I think. And we watched that and we were talking about Messi and talking about whatnot. And then Messi out of nowhere, like, and the whole play, right?
Yeah.
And they score and I was just like, wow. For me, there are two games that I remember with him. That one and the Brazil-Germany one.
Oh.
And that Barça game, that Clasico was important. And I also do have another one that I was with a friend and she doesn't watch football. And I was like, I need to find a way for her to keep like entertaining the game.
Sure.
And it wasn't a Clasico where whenever Mathieu had the ball, we would go Mathieu, and whoever saw that Mathieu had the ball first would like score a point.
Okay,
and
nice.
We were like joking about Mathieu, and then out of nowhere, Mathieu goes and scores a header, and I'm like, "Whoa, Mathieu!" And I remember that one. I will always remember that one as well. Because,
nice.
I don't know. I think people like shit on Mathieu too much, but he was good.
I thought he was great. I really did. I mean, you got it. There's a few players that come to mind that were not elite, big name signings, but needed to be there to support the club and get them to where they needed. He's one of them. Seydou Keita comes to mind. Silvinho, the left back that we had for a while. Eidur Gudjohnsen, the striker from Iceland, like guys like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they hold a special place in my heart. But amen to the point you made about that Messi moment being more and more iconic as time goes on. I remember specifically watching that match, seeing that unfold. And listen, players take off their jerseys all the time. Players point to their back, show the crowd their name, all those things. But there was something so intentional about that moment. Mm-hmm. And for a player who, Messi, he'll get amped up and he'll celebrate, but he's not a guy who rips his shirt off. He's not a guy who goes over the top with how he expresses himself. So for him to intentionally show the back of his jersey to the Madrid crowd. I've got chills just talking about it. Just talking about it.
It's like he never like I see a lot of Argentina games, of course, because they played here for I don't know how it's in the US. This is something different for your viewers, but in Latin America, like who owns the broadcast rights is always Argentina. Like Argentina is the one who owns them, and ESPN they like transmit their signal from Argentina. So always the people who even I'm in Peru, the commentators are going to be from Argentina. So that's how the whole Latin America works, except Brazil because there's a different language. But Argentina, they transmit to Ecuador, to Chile, to Peru, to Venezuela, to all the countries. So that's why Argentina or Messi has such a big crowd here, let's say. And sometimes it can get a little bit annoying because it's biased, because they go like, oh my God, Lo Celso scored a goal for Tottenham. And like, it's like, bro, he scored a tapping. Or they go like, I don't know, El Cuti Romero was so vital for their victory. And it's like, he didn't do shit. but anyhow. Like, and you don't see that or you don't normally expect Messi, and they always say that, right? The commentators always go, you don't expect Messi to be that to have that in him, but I think that game changed everything, and you could really see that at the end of the day he does have fire in his belly, and sometimes it's easy to forget that. So that was crucial, right? Because he went up there in front of the crowd and was like, you know what, look at me, look at what I've done, look at what I can do.
It felt like he was saying, you will never forget this name. Yeah. You will remember this name forever. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Yeah.
I don't know if that was the game where he played with tissue of blood.
Yeah. I forget if it was his nose or his mouth, but early on, probably Ramos.
It was Marcel.
Oh, it was Marcel? Okay.
Marcel, I remember.
I was just assuming that it was Ramos.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Another one that stands out to me, and some of it is the time of my life, but Ronaldinho being applauded at the Bernabeu. I was like 2 years into watching Barcelona. Like I've established them as my club, and then that was the moment where I was like magic is possible. You know what I mean? Like this is the beautiful game at its best. Your arch rival supporters applauding a man's performance because it was so outstanding, so beautiful that it transcends just that game. It hit that point of like why we all love football, you know. So those type of memories keep me showing up, you know.
Yeah, there's also one for me that I remember that is, I think it was the first Clasico. I think it was with Luis Enrique. Against Rafa Benitez, I don't know, that Messi wasn't there. It was the season that we had our shirts in the horizontal stripes.
And
it was Neymar and Suarez, and people were saying, Barcelona, we thought Messi can do this, can do that, and Messi, Iniesta, and Neymar, Iniesta, and Suarez, they ran the show, man. It was 3-0 up in the first half, and I was like, dude, we're so good. And I think at the end of the day, when you remember this now, you are like, those times, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't cherish that as much when you're in the moment, because you're like, you just give it for certain. But the reality is that Barcelona had the best attack, and for me, the best striker in football history, like by a landslide, like Neymar, Suarez, and Messi. And even without Messi and Suarez, they ran the show. And there was that season also that Messi was injured, and Neymar, he became Super Saiyan, and he did that goal against Villarreal that he flicked and he turned around and scored. Like, we don't see that, and I don't know what people say about Neymar, but for me, I love Neymar. Like, for me, it's a wonderful player.
I have some spoiled feelings, I'll say, for Neymar.
No, dude, I would kiss Neymar's feet. I will suck his big toe.
I'll say this: I have not opened up the door of forgiveness to Neymar, and maybe wrongfully so, because what I saw was, from my perspective, someone who turned away from Barcelona because they prioritize personal glory over the club. It seemed like he knew that he was never going to be bigger than Lionel Messi. So he said, I'll go do it over here and maybe get my own spotlight. And then I think he kind of got what he deserved in the way things played out.
I don't blame him for that. Like I don't blame someone for chasing that. I know how it could be annoying, but
here's the thing. I sorry to interrupt, but here's it's not just that. The reason why I have a grudge against him was the timing of it. He left so late in the transfer window that we had to panic buy Dembele and then panic buy Coutinho in January. You know what I mean? So we and the thing was, every club knew that we were desperate and had a bunch of cash. So it's not just that he said, you know what, my time here is done. This was great. I'm going to go. It was last minute exit out the back door and just left us going, wait, what? You know what I mean? So it was the way that it played out. I think that kind of spoils it for me.
Yeah, I guess that. But I don't know. I feel that forever he will be a player that is, like it or not, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think he's underrated.
I'll give you that.
I think he's underrated. Like people, I will always say, I feel Neymar is closer to Ronaldo than when Ronaldo is closer to Messi. And Neymar, I think like you were saying, chasing the spotlight. The thing is that he didn't realize that well, that move changed the complete narrative towards Neymar. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that he didn't realize that he will never be bigger than Messi whilst Messi is playing.
Yep.
Like that is
that was a mistake.
That's a fact. And the other thing is that, my goodness, how can you even go to PSG and then suddenly this kid Mbappe becomes even bigger than you? Like, oh my. Like, of course he wants to return to Barça. Of course he wants to return to Barça. But
now here's the thing, Buga. Had he come back to Barcelona, I think he would have been able to redeem any perception of negativity for folks like me. You know what I mean? I think he could have come back, had maybe a little bit more humility than what he had the first time around. But yeah, I think in years to come, I think I'll look back on those years of Messi, Neymar, Suarez, and I think I'll have similar feelings to what you have, you know, celebrating the good times.
And also, I think people forget how dumb you are when you're 24.
Yeah, dude. And 34. Like
Dembele, for instance, that interview that he had the other day, like he realized, like, of course you're dumb when you're 21, 20. You're learning. You are learning. And that's the thing when you're so young, that sometimes people forget that you're still learning. And these footballers are put in such these big positions when they're that young.
Yeah.
And so much money, so much power when it comes to deciding these decisions, and how one single decision can impact not only you, but the club, the fans, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. I think people forget that, and sometimes we just give them for certain that, like, we see someone like De Jong. He's super established, but he's 25, dude.
Yeah.
Like, he's 25, and it's like wild. It's wild. Like, I know people at 25, they don't even know how to do a CV. Like, dude, of course,
I was bussing tables at a restaurant in Colorado when I was like 25. Like, I had no idea,
like,
you know?
Yeah. And like, probably they don't have any idea either. So, and when you're that young, what do you think when you're that young? Oh, bigger is better. Better is bigger. And you just go like, okay, I'm going to give that for certain. And sometimes you forget that there are other things in life. Like, you need to screw up to learn what's important in life, which is friendship, like commitment, dedication, honesty, all of those things. Like, you need to be able to screw up there first to realize that later. And sometimes it takes these decisions, like what Neymar did, or what Dembele, for instance, struggle with, to realize that. And thank God, sometimes people do it earlier, some people do it later. And for now, we're seeing like Dembele change that around. And I think that, for me, I always respected Dembele, and I go like, wow, now I think he's top player, and he can achieve great things. And let's say Neymar perhaps did that a little later,
Yeah.
too late.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's all good thoughts. All good thoughts. And you mentioned Dembele, so I think that's a good transition because he's changed a lot under Xavi. Xavi's really gotten into his headspace for, in positive ways. So, big picture, Xavi's influence so far. How happy are you with what Xavi has done? What do you think so far, and what's coming up on a year of Xavi being manager at the club?
Well, before answering that, sorry, I need to go on another tangent, but
Do it.
I think people need to realize this, but I think more than Xavi in the head,
Yeah.
Dembele always goes and points at Koeman. He says, Koeman did give me this give me that, and I like that. I think we may in a different episode. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Koeman because I think he did good stuff for us.
Yeah.
And one of those things for Dembele is that like realize that, you know what, you're not a kid anymore, you need this responsibility, all of this. I don't know if you watch Marvel, but like Spider-Man, with bigger power comes bigger responsibility.
Yes,
and that's
yes.
that's the reality of things. And I think Xavi has continued on that, and because Xavi came in and was already like, I don't know why everyone's talking about Dembele is great. That's what what Xavi talked about. So I think Koeman, we need to put an asterisk next to his name on that. But anyhow, Xavi, about the future about Xavi, I think I really like where this is going. I like that Xavi has the balls to take the hard decisions when they need to be taken. He sits bench Alba. He's not afraid to rotate Busquets. He bench Piqué since I don't know God when, and I like that. I like that he's giving the youngsters that continuity, that faith. I was a little bit worried at the start because I was afraid that Xavi might have becoming too soon because this squad is very young.
Yeah.
Like normally, if we compare this to what Guardiola had before, let's say, Guardiola would come or Xavi would come at least 1-2 more years after this, like when Pedri, Gavi are a little bit more established and that. But no, Xavi kind of accelerated completely and came when Laporta needed him. And I think that, or more than Laporta, when the club needed him, and I just give complete kudos to Xavi because he has taken a massive job at hand, and he shows that he can be a good manager. He in like 3 match days, we lost, we drew, whatever, but the narrative was Xavi's gonna be a good manager.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the thing. I really like where this is going. I think that consistency is on our side. I think that Xavi knows that, and what I value more about Xavi is what I think have talked about a lot this show, that is like values and what it means to play for Barcelona and what it means to be a good person. And that I think is more value than other managers can give stuff to their club. And for me, that's the reason why I fell in love with Barcelona. Like I love Barcelona because they had values that others didn't. And sort of, I always think that you as a person and as a personality would fit to what you like. So that's a fact, right? So if I'm like this, you are like that, we people get closer to Barcelona because we see the same things that we live in our normal life, the way that we've been grown up, and how it fits to our team. And I think that Xavi knows that perfectly, and you can see it from the way he talks. He goes, bang, we need to go game by game. He doesn't, I remember one interview, he says, what about, are you going to feel proud when Barcelona win? I'm like, yeah, but this isn't about me. It's about whether we win, whether we lose, whether we train hard. I don't know how it's in English, but in Spanish it's meritocracia, which is like you play because you earn it. And that's how it works. So I think there's a word for that in English. I just don't know the translation, but it's like if you play, you play because you deserve it. You are benched because you deserve it. And real, some people, like we were talking about the Neymar part before, Xavi has this ingrained that you need to, how to call it, that your actions have consequences.
Yes.
And I think that's the main thing that Xavi has. Like he shows every player your actions have consequences, and he turns out the fans. I think before we didn't realize that before, and I think Xavi is teaching us that again. That actions have consequences, and if you play good, you will win. If we played a good game against Bayern, we may have win. That's football, but we need to continue in this dynamic because next game we beat Elche 3-0 and we could have beaten by far more. So it's like that. Actions have consequence. And if you continue on the same path, you're going to continue being better. And the fact is that we are going to be back under Xavi sooner rather than later because he knows all that.
Yeah. Well said, BUGA. Well said. I love hearing that. Yeah, he's strong, but he's fair. He brings in the Barcelona mentality of Más que un club, right? It's more holistic, right? And that ties all the way back to La Masia. And one of the things that I noticed right away when Xavi joined were the clips from the training ground. The games that they were playing, the smiles on the faces, everybody joking and laughing and playing with each other, like having that joy around the club is I think a big part of why I and so many others love Barcelona, is because it's not just getting wins, right? It's not just about the 3 points. It's how did you play the game? How did you express yourself on the pitch? You know, and Xavi brings all that for Barcelona. So I'm pumped for what's going on and the future. I know I'm making assumptions, but I think he's going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. One more question, and we'll get you out of here, BUGA. Is Lewandowski going to win a Ballon d'Or with Barcelona? Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I have here some notes, and I say that I think this season is hard. I think he's not gonna win it this season. I think Benzema is gonna win it, and I honestly think that yes, he can win it if he maintains this level, and that for me is the only thing that makes me feel that yes, he could win a Ballon d'Or with Barcelona, because he has that in his head. You can clearly see it. He always, when he's asked, he doesn't have any issue with it. People say like, it's not about individual awards. He goes like, yeah, I can fucking win this.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But he goes like, yeah, I can win this. Like,
right.
He goes like, yeah, I can win it at Barça. It's easier than at Bayern. He knows that. So it's in his head. He wants that. He wants to win. So that is a motivation that if he maintains his level, yes, he can win it. The other thing is that I could also see no, because maybe there are other players that could rise up and win that award. But right now, I don't see that. Like maybe Mbappe, Haaland, but I don't see. It depends a lot whether you like it or not. I know they changed the criteria this year that it's going to be about individual, but whether you like it or not, like if you have a good Champions League, if you have a good World Cup, that counts. And the fact that maybe City has more chances to win the World Cup or stuff like that, that could give more chances to Haaland, to those players. But yes, I think Lewandowski can win it, but it's all about whether he can maintain this level or not. So yeah, right now I see that next season, if no one turns up and Lewandowski is still going like he does, he can win this award. I think we need a Salah sort of moment to take this. Like I always like to do I don't know about you, but I like to do like in my head sometimes of exercises, like when I'm bored, like in a line or in a queue or waiting for the bus or whatever. I think like who could have won the Ballon d'Or each year that Messi wasn't there?
Right. Yeah.
And like it takes some seasons. Like that's when you can really see now. I think that is more valid. You need to analyze that, because now Messi and Ronaldo, I don't think they will win it again.
Sure.
The only way that I can see Messi winning it is if he goes out of this world and he wins the World Cup, and that's it. But yeah, I think Lewandowski can win it. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'm glad to hear you say that. I was a little bit nervous because a lot of people have been kind of giving me guff for my opinion, which is next season Barcelona wins Champions League and Lewandowski gets the Ballon d'Or. I think that's realistic. I think that he'll still be playing at that elite level. I think it gives us another year of some of our youngsters developing individually and together. I think Barcelona are going to be a powerhouse. And yes, as much as you know, I don't like the idea of the Ballon d'Or going to always the best player on the best team. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. But you have to make a significant run in Champions League. You have to play well for your national team, and you have to probably be top 1 or 2 in your domestic league. You know, nobody in the bottom of their table is going to win a Ballon d'Or. You know what I mean? So it's not like you can't be on a mediocre club, you know? So some of that does factor in, but I'm with you. I think he can do it. I think it's next year. Hopefully I'm wrong and they do it a year early, but I think next season is really when we're going to see the fruits of the labor of Xavi and this club and everything that we've been working towards.
I think he can win it because, like I said, when you look at the competition, like who could win it next year if it isn't Lewandowski? Like,
well, you said Mbappe, Haaland.
Yeah, but I'm really like, would they win it? I
don't
know.
Would a Kevin De Bruyne win it if he's healthy all season and Man City win Champions League? Someone like that, maybe.
Well, that's the thing. I think that even, let's say you have the best De Bruyne and the best Lewandowski is going to win it because the goals in this game, like it or not, they have more value.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, I think he can win it if we maintain this trajectory. I think it will happen. I think. Now, I was thinking in my notes here, I had more like negative thoughts, but when I'm talking to you, I think the more and more I think about it, I think he can win it next season.
Yeah,
he should have won it that season. Like, that's so dumb.
We're not everybody knows.
COVID. Shut up.
Yeah, dude, that was his. That one should have been his, wasn't it? I forget.
Year, they should have just give him the Ballon d'Or like of last season. Go like, okay, this year Messi win it, but we're gonna celebrate Lewandowski last season because he deserved to win it.
Yeah,
and even Messi said it. You know, like he said they owe you a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I was like Ronaldo or Messi. I know one of them was like, oh no, this one should have been yours. So yeah, boy. Okay, well, good. We have that to look forward to then. Lewandowski, Ballon d'Or, Barcelona Champions League winners. That's what's coming up, folks. You heard it right here on the Undefeated channel with none other than BUGA Luis. BUGA, before I get you out of here, my friend, thank you so much for everything. Like I said. It was an awesome conversation. I hope that I can get you back on here sooner rather than later. But in the meantime, where can people find you? What are you working on? Let people know what's going on.
You can find me on my channel, BUGA Luis FC. It's a title, right? In the title. So you can click there. The same name on Twitter, the same name on Instagram. And we talk about football. We talk about, of course, Barça. And the main thing that I always like to say, some people, I just respond to a comment here. If you're not ready to talk about, I always feel that criticism is good to keep improving. So in my channel, you won't find like, oh, great job by Pedri, because everybody knows Pedri is an amazing player. I'm going to talk about when Ansu Fati is not playing that good. I'm going to talk about when Rafinha, I think it's an issue. I'm always going to be pointing at those. We need to improve this because I think constant improvement will make you better. So if you are not ready to hear that, it's not the channel for you. But if you are, you're welcome. So I always like to say that. And yeah, I also, you have mentioned Pablo before, and now John, after talking to you, I really like everything about you. You're a good speaker. You know your stuff. And we're starting a podcast, and we would love you to get you in there. It's called The Engine Room. We had it before, but we stopped as well. And now we are kind of bringing it back. October the 3rd is when we're going to be coming back. And I think that John would make a great guest in that podcast, and maybe even more, who knows? So yeah, those where you can find me.
Dude, that is awesome. I just got chills again because I'm so excited about that. I love talking about Barcelona. I love Pablo. BUGA, I got love for you too now, brother. This really is just in alignment with what I'm trying to do. You know, I spent years sitting on my couch watching Barcelona with maybe my wife there to listen, who doesn't really want to hear about it. So I love that even though I'm not like living in a space that has a bunch of Barcelona fans, I can connect with people from all over the world, meet people that I never would have met. And I'm very happy that we were able to connect, BUGA. I really appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, I'm really happy too. I'm gonna be honest. And I think the reason why perhaps I haven't grown as much or I've lacked consistency is because I didn't realize before the value of other people to what you do before. And like I'm saying, when you're young, you're dumb, right? So I'm young, I'm dumb. So I'm like, I didn't value that. And I think that every little connection you make, everything you do, it's just much more, it's better. And it's also better for like the health of the person, because you need to talk to people to be happy to share. And I think that's important. And I think this really has reminded me of of why I started this channel in the first place. I know you had a question here of why you started your channel, and I was
Yeah.
like, bro, this is so, and I was like, I cannot answer this. Like, but I was like, why I think I started because of what you just said, because like I want to share about talking to sport. I don't have friends that talk about us, and I think, and I just feel the urge, the necessity of like to share, to talk, and I think that is what I remember. Not to produce the best video, not to have the best thumbnail, not to have the best music, not to just talk about what makes us happy, right? I think that's that, and thank you for that, because you reminded me of that.
Yeah, absolutely, Buga. Well, listen, sounds like we have a lot more to discuss. I appreciate your wisdom, your philosophy. I think we're really in alignment there. So looking forward to more conversations.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and end this stream. But to everyone who's been watching, thank you so much. Shout out to the Stash Squad. I appreciate you. I saw we got some new people that have joined. So come back and hang out with us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for Wake Up in Barça. All the live Barcelona matches. We'll be here with the commentary and all that jazz. All right. That's it. Buga, any final words?
Nothing. See you in the next one. Take care. Ciao,
All
ciao.
right. See you, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in and taking a ride. Mwah.